Good morning, everyone. DBB Consultancy Services. So, about me, I, Dr. Bhargava, with over 2 decades of experience in vaccine manufacturing and GMP compliance and facility design, working with some of the leading industries. I started this channel as a YouTube channel with the name of DBB Consultancy Services. So, this channel is for the frontline barriers of our industry. Production staff, QA, QC teams, operators, and anyone looking for build a strong foundation in CGMP, contamination control, SOPs, and more. Whether you are a student, fresher, a working professional, or a startup founder setting up your unit, this space is for you. Subscribe now and join on the mission. This mission to bridge the gap between the practices versus the theory in pharma and biotech manufacturing. Good morning, everyone. So today I'm starting the first class with the data integrity. One of the most important and critical requirement in regulatory environment is the data integrity. So first we need to understand what exactly the integrity meaning. Integrity in a simple word, integrity means honesty. That is a characteristic being truthful and having solid moral principles that you are unwilling to compromise irrespective of the external circumstances. So the simple word, the integrity means honesty. It encompasses the ethics, truth, trust and reliability, and also the corporate principles. The simple word integrity means we have to remember that we should be the honest in all our actions and duties, day-to-day activities which we are performing in the regulatory environment. So now we have understand what exactly the integrity mean, and now we will move to the integrity principles. What are all the integrity principles? So when we look into the overview of data integrity, the integrity principles will be, the first one is the honesty. Honesty means being truthful in all actions and communications. All actions which you have performed in your day-to-day activities, from starting from the cleaning of the facility and the personal behavior, you should be the honest. And communications which you are providing to the team members, you should be the honest and clear. Accountability, taking responsibility for every of your actions and decisions. For all your actions and decisions, you are the responsible, and you have to take accountability. And trustworthiness. Trustworthiness means gaining confidence through consistent ethical behavior. So without changing your ethical behavior, if you follow the consistently, then we will build a trustworthy between the regulators and organization, or between your team members also, and management and your team. Ethical behavior, following moral principles and doing what is right. That is nothing but the ethical behavior. Responsibility, fulfilling commitments and obligations, being open. Transparency means being open and clear about actions you have taken. Fairness, training, treating others with impartially and justice. Respect, we have to respect the values of and other opinions, rights and dignity in our team members. You have to respect all the values of other people, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their community, and all. You have to respect it. These are all comes under the basic integrity principles in pharma and regulatory environment. So now we have understand what is the meaning of integrity and how the integral when the person while performing their activities. Now we will move to the data. What exactly the data? Data as per the MHRA, to obtain from raw data, that is the information obtained from raw data. Raw data means when we are performing any activities or analysis, actually recorded data. With including the single digits without alterations or without rounded up, that is called actual data. It includes the facts, figures and statistically collected to reference for analysis. So data can exist in any form, mainly the three forms: paper based data, electronic data or hybrid forms. Sometimes you need to maintain the hybrid form like batch manufacturing records and at the same time the SCADA reports. And electronic data is specifically when you are operating the electronic devices like HPLC, the data which we have generated through that HPLC data, it should be stored in electronic form. Paper based data, sometimes which are you are entering the details like entry exit details, or you are entering the equipment cleaning records, everything will be in the paper based records. Also you have to maintain throughout its life cycle from initial generation and recording to processing. This data should be retained, archived and retrieval whenever is required, though you sold out your product. Electronic data can compose of different forms. That means emails, even the adverse event reports also you have to complaints of the customers and the batch records and the quality control records. Every data should be in the archival. So the data should be honesty. The whatever you have performed the activities, you have to record it in the on time. That is called the data, and the integrity means honesty. So the simple words data integrity means honesty in our data or trust in our data. Why it is important in regulatory? Next we will move to that. What is the main objective of data integrity? So main objective of data integrity is to ensuring the patient safety and quality. The purpose, every dose which has manufactured the drug or whether it is the prophylactic vaccine, every dose should be safe, effective and free from contamination and defects. So what is the evidence for this? Your data is the evidence for it. It should protect the patient by managing the risk of quality at utmost importance. So this data will show that you are following the validated procedures, you have followed the approved methods, and you have executed and manufactured the drug by following all validated and approved procedures. It will prove. So in any pharmaceutical or biotech industry, usually people have manufacturing the two products. One is the physical product, that is your drug or it is vaccine. Another product is your data. Why? Because if customer want to purchase anything related, for example like a bike or car, they can test drive it. Whether in this case of drugs or prophylactic vaccines, there is no chance. They have to believe on our data. They have to believe on the approvals of the regulatory. Then on what basis regulatory people will approve? Based upon our data. So the data integrity is integrity at most important in biotech and pharmaceutical industry. So quality and integrity of the staff. How the integral of the staff member, how it should be integral. So here it is the way. Here we are having the lighthouse. This is the strong lighthouse. It will stand for the representation of the quality and integrity of the stands. In the middle of rough sea, if you see this figure, so this will stand in the middle of the rough sea. Big waves crash around. The environmental conditions are not favorable, but it does not move. Its bright light shines through the dark sky, helping ships for their way. This lighthouse represents honesty, strength, and doing the right thing, even when times are tough. So each and every individual of the regulatory environment, whoever is working, they should be the strong and do the right things when the situations or external circumstances are tough also. If you have the pressure from superiors or if you have the pressure from the management to deliver the products in time, don't compromise on ethical values. If something goes wrong, report it, then we have to analyze and address and take a corrective actions to avoid the recurrence of the issues. But don't hide, and if you hide and move further afterwards, if regulators or your team or internal audits find, then you will lose the trust. Once you lose the trust, the regaining is very critical. Now, as per quality, simple words, as per MHRA, quality means delivering excellent work even when no one is watching. So you have to train yourself and ethical yourself. You should follow the good documents, and you should follow the approved procedures and do your excellent work. Don't hear that so supervisor is not watching, manager is not watching, QA people are not watching, so I can skip this step. Don't do that. Integrity means we have understand the honesty and follow ethical values, no matter the external situation is. So now, based upon this quality and integrity, we can say being integrity means being truthful in terms of data integrity. Being truthful even when no one is watching. So we should be truthful in our data, in our activities, if no one is watching. Regulators view what between the inspections, regulators trust that the companies will act ethically even when not being observed. If regulators can't able to stay and observe the 365 days, but in the industry's work will go 365 days, 24 hours per the day, so they can't watch. Then how they will believe us depends upon the our data. So they believe that if you are following the validated procedures, if you are ethical in our data, based upon data, they will build a trust on it. The confidence between industry and regulatory bodies broken by breach in data integrity. If they found that you have manipulated something, then the trust will be lost, and the rebuilding trust will for the companies expensive and time consuming. It is not such easy. Once they lost the trust, what they will do? They will disqualify your product, and again you have to apply, and they will come with the mindset that these people are the cheaters. They don't have the integrity. So with this come whether they are if they audit in that mindset, then it will be the very difficult to regain the trust. So be integral and follow your procedures. What's the purpose of data integrity? So we are manufacturing the life-saving medicines. So life-saving medicine. So each and every person is absolutely responsible for activities performed in regulatory environment. There is no room for negligence or carelessness. As for FDA, zero tolerance policy on data integrity. Zero tolerance means zero tolerance. You should not adulterate anything. So you have to follow 100% approved procedures, and you have to record what you have executed, what you have observed at the time of execution. So ensuring the drugs quality, safety and efficacy, this is essential and regulatory marker. So document record must be available to demonstrate that product quality even after it is sold. So we have sold out, it head into the market. Don't think that the data is not important. So anyhow the product is moved into the market and it is sold. So the data is important. When the post-market sales are after throughout its life cycle, the data should be available. If any case, if any adverse events are observed after the injection of this particular drugs, the data should be required, and the data should be shown that you didn't do anything falsification of the data. The reliability of the data is crucial. That lead to loss of trust. If you, doubts occurred on data integrity, that lead to the loss of trust. In the eyes of FDA, companies are guilty until proven innocent. When data integrity is questioned, submitting fraudulent information to the FDA is illegal. The question, you have to preparing something and hurry and showing that this is the data, that is illegal. They will disqualify your product for their particular market, and you lose the business continuity and trust as well. So now we have understand what the basics of data and integrity, the importance of data integrity. Data integrity is nothing but the trust on your data. Trust, that means you have executed the batch or manufactured the pharmaceutical products with strong ethical and moral principles, and you have recorded whichever you have performed as per your approved procedures and validated procedures. Simple words, data integrity means trust on your data. Now we will move to what are the different types of practices, what are the poor or bad practices, what is misconduct, what is data falsification or fabrications. So bad practices in data capturing such as data deletion, manipulation, improper record keeping. But means data deletion means, for example, if the person is performing the HPLC or some of the electronic equipment. So that they, whatever the results and the outcome is not as expected, so it may be failing. So the deleting of that particular and changing the sample and reloading is not acceptable. Manipulation, that means if you are taking the data, for example any optical densities for calorimetric methods, to pass that particular one, manipulation of the results and the data is not acceptable. Improper record keeping, not properly keeping, whichever is the failed by records we have been discarded, and we are keeping in the only the past batches and all. And altered documents, for example erasing of writing with the erasable pencils and then erasing the results and writing the documents in the unauthorized papers like white papers, and then it is transcripting into your actual controlled copies is not acceptable. These are all comes under the bad practices. So poor and bad practices and falsification. What are the poor and innocent and poor and bad practices? So we can categorize these practices into three types. One is the innocent, unaware of ignorant, unaware of rules or regulations. The intention may be the unintentional. Non-compliance occurs unknowingly. So this may be done innocent or ignorance. Why is this innocent and ignorance will becomes? Because of the improper training or the recruiting of the unqualified people, these things will be happen. This is also not acceptable. Carelessness and negligence. So to failure to follow procedures properly. Why? There will be negligence. So we are doing day by day the same thing, nothing will happen, like that the negligence. This may or may not be the intentional, but this is the non-compliance due to oversight or lack of diligence. Intentional or malicious. This is dangerous. The people knows that they are doing a mistake, but they will do it. This is the deliberate violence. That means if the batch is not reaching their according to as per their, for example, they are running the perimeter. If it is not reaching the optical density as required, though this is the not met the specification, people will deliberately write it as their pass and move to the second step, and it may be cost in further steps. This is the deliberate and intentional crime. This is not at all acceptable in regulatory market. So usually the poor and human errors. So human errors, usually data innocent, it will comes under data entered mistakenly. Ignorance, lack of awareness of regulatory requirement or insufficient training. This is also comes under the innocent. Data transmission. So mistakes during transfer between the computers or transferring between electronic data or from the HMI to the your hard copies. And software issues, unintended software issues like malwares or bugs, using the non-validated tools. So for example, using the Excel sheets for calculation of analytical data, unvalidated Excel sheets, it is not acceptable. Document mismanagement, discarding original source document and keeping whichever is the transcribed in or edited documents. So these are all comes under the unintentional errors and poor practices examples. And the falsification, willful data falsification. That means deliberately, that is the unintentional malicious, deliberately they are changing. Result selection, excluding, this is also one of the example for deliberate violations. So excluding the poor or failing test results to present false outcome. Unauthorized data modification, changing or overwriting post-acquisition data. After taking the data, if the results are not falling within your acceptable limit, then they are simply altering the data. This is all comes under the intentional and deliberate violations of the rules, which is not at all acceptable. So common FDA findings related to data integrity. So when we categorize it, data integrity violations based upon the recent FDA observations, one comes under signature and documentation issues. So what are the documentation issues? Backdating. So the activity may be performed 2-3 days before, may not be recorded, or simply the backdating it. But depends upon, for example, they may be planned the activity for 6 hours, one activity, subsequent activity may be the 12 hours. Sometimes due to any failures of the missions, or sometimes maybe the operators issues, that 6 hours activity may be extended to 10 hours. What the usually operator people will do? observation. They are not actually recording. After completion of the activity 2, they are calculating the time and adjusting the activity 1 and 2 by backdating or forward-dating. This type of mistakes are common and these are not acceptable. Disposing of original hard copies. So usually people is writing, we have observed people were writing in white papers or the wrapping papers of the gloves, afterwards transferring it into the original controlled copies. It is not acceptable. Not saving actual electronic data or deleting electronic records. This is also one of the common observations FDA is finding. If not meeting the specification, simply deleting and reperforming the test. And other type of category is data manipulation and falsification. As a existing copying existing data as a new data. For example, the batch number 3 was failed, the 2 was, so whatever the data raw data obtained for the batch number 2 is simply copy pasting into the batch number 3 in order to pass batch number 3. This is not acceptable. And data manipulation and data falsification. This is also to adjusting the data to pass the batch. That is also not acceptable. Mismatch between reported data and actual data. Sometimes then, so whatever you have reported as the past, but actual data at the time of execution in your analytical stage is mismatching. Unauthorized changes, that means the overwriting, changes in name or date. That is concerned in the data management. Third is the intentional non-compliance. Intentional non-compliance is not reporting the failures or deviations. Though you know that it is a fail, but hiding and adjusting and releasing a failing product, hiding, obscuring or withholding critical information. Selection of only good passing results while excluding poor or falling marks. These are all comes under intentional non-compliance. The people knows that they are doing the mistake, but they are doing this mistake. It is not at all acceptable in terms of regulatory point of view. And poor process failure, system and process failures, errors during transmission from one computer to another computer, or non-validated software or applications or spreadsheets, especially what we have seen, Excel sheets non-validated, or using your equipment is non-validated equipment. There is no 21 CFR compliance for this equipment, and you may have the authority to delete the executed one and reperform it. That is not acceptable. Changes due to software bugs or malware. This is also not acceptable. So you have to do strong antivirus in your systems. Hardware malfunctions also sometimes as the system faces process failure if you select the poor systems for your process. As for FDA, recent case studies in order to last month in last year September 2024 they have released one result of China based 2 companies. These are the common looks like a simple mistake, but it's the critical data integrity issues. They were audited for the 2 companies. One is the testing company in Xinjiang and another company is the Suzhou Technology Institute. What the common mistakes what they were observed is pervasive failures in data management and quality assurance, poor staff training and oversights. Not recorded the actual data and find a failure to accurately record and verify key research data. And what it leads to question the quality and integrity of safety data collected in all the facilities. These failures will lead to pre-market device submissions, unreliable data. So the data is not supporting that your product is quality and good. So this type of manipulations were carried out. And also they are testing animals. They are unable to provide the adequate care of their animals and provide the adequate identification. For example, you are using as an animal as a testing model to release the product into the market, but the concerned firm is failed to provide the animal data, animals used in the lab testing and identification, how many animals they have identified, how many animals they have used it for which type of material has injected into which type of each animal. They are unable to provide it. They have given the cumulative data, this many were done, this many animals we have tested. This is not acceptable. So, sir, although common mistakes, recently I have audited one of the facility in the February 2025. Similar, though this company is pre-qualified and FDA approved companies, the qualified staff, this is the simple mistakes. So in the drug product area, they have performed filter integrity, but they have not recorded in their BMR. and find that some of the BMR pages were also missed. So activity, another observation, one person and data entry made by the another person. How it is acceptable? Because that guy has forgotten and left, so he has entered that data. And this is not at all acceptable. Operator use, so sometimes, so they have the autoclaves, and this particular autoclaves having the each and usual individual user IDs and passwords. So the person in that particular ship didn't have the user credential, so he is using the another person's user credential. It is a crime. So it is a crime. It is not at all acceptable. It will show the poor GMP practices of the organization. Another thing is the captured in data in unauthorized papers. We saw that in the gloves wrapping paper, they have recording the timings and all. They said that afterwards we will transfer it to the BMR because we may write the mistakes in there. That is not acceptable. In BMR, the regulatory environment, we have to record the data at the time of activity. Okay, common data integrities violations. When we summarize it, what type of data integrity violations are commonly occur? When you take the audit observations of WHO and FDA and summarize, most of the 90% of the observations will comes under these things. This looks like simple, but it is critical. So one measure is backdating or force dating of the records. Another thing is the missing signatures or mismatching signature. So mismatching signatures, when will happen? The person is not available, some other guy is doing the other person's sign. This is wrong. Data manipulations or falsifications. That is willful manipulations. Copying existing data as a new data. That means in order to pass the X back, you have to taking the data from the already passed back. That is also not acceptable. And deleting electronic data. Hard copies without archiving. That is also not acceptable. Failure to report deviations and failure. That means hiding information. That is not acceptable. And someone is coming and identifying that they have not reported that. That is also critical. That will simply indicate the poor GMP practices. And releasing the failed product simply by manipulating the data. Hiding or withholding critical information. That means whichever is having the quality impact on quality, that information is hiding, it is not at all acceptable. Mismatch data between reported and actual data. This is also one of the common data integrity violations. So this data integrity is not specific to a particular area. It is a global issue. It is across the globe. It is not an Indian centric or Asia specific. It is across even the developed countries or developing countries. Maybe the percentage of issues may be the different, but data integrity is across the globe. This is a very serious concern in regulatory market. Then what is the organizational role? What is the organizational role? So ensuring data integrity in organization causes, and we have to implement the best practices and identify the challenges and causes. What the management has to think? What are the key? Does management proactively enforce data integrity within organization? They have to check it. They have the data integrity team, data integrity ensuring day-to-day activities. Is top management aware of all the potential DA issues? It is a very, very important thing. And if it will come in a next slide, I will show you. How do data integrity breaches occur? They have to analyze it. They have to put it in. Why these data integrity breaches are occurring? Why are these issues not identified, corrected in timely manner? Where does data integrity begin? So these things management has to assess in timely basis. Maybe there will quality review meetings or maybe weekly or monthly. They have to assess and they have to find out the proper CAPA for it. So what are the main root causes for data integrity issues? Several factors contribute for data integrity failure. This include the first one is the organizational culture. If the organization does not have the strong ethical standards and the poor leadership and commitment towards the DI compliance, then data integrity issues will be common. So employees will fear for the job, so they will terminate. If they breach it due to fear of, so they may not report it. So the organizational culture should develop and create a transparency culture in the people. Employee awareness and training. So another thing is one of the most important thing is the employee awareness. But due to day-to-day activities and unreliable targets, the superiors or supervisors not spending much time to train the shop floor people or the fresh employees. They are simply directly sending to the work. So this leads to inadequate training. The people may not aware about it. So it leads to data integrity failures. Lack of understanding of regulatory requirement. If you are not giving them proper training, they will come from the freshly from the college. They don't know the requirement from the regulatory requirement, and it will lead to this type of data integrities. Third, bad practices by senior employees. If the senior employees is says that if we didn't follow the GMP, for example, when senior employee enters into the class C area with primary garments, then what will be the juniors will do? In other shift, they will do in the same thing, and it will lead to the exposure into the bared skin, into exposure into the controlled area, and leads to spread of contamination and viability. So seniors should be the role models. So if they follow the GMP properly and they train the people, then these issues will not be occur. So motivation for wrongdoing. In order to meet the unrealistic performance goals, sometimes the superiors or managers may it is not the common for all time, maybe motivate to do it. So this type of thing will leads to regulatory concerns and leads to a release of the failure or non-standard product into the market and quality system deficiency, weak governance and oversight of data management practices. So there is no supervisor to the monitoring team, lack of clear policies and procedures regarding DA ineffectiveness, infrastructure and technology limitations. That means use of outdated or non-validated software applications or spreadsheets. So if you use the outdated, then maybe the inadequate control and data access. Because if he entered one data, if it doesn't match, and then he can able to change it if the system is not validated. So they may have the editing rights. This is not acceptable. System malfunction leading to data loss or corruption. Process inefficiency. That means the poor documentation practices, non-standard data entry and review mechanisms, lack of proper version control for documents. That means lack of quality control document. That means control document in each and every document as issued and with the effective page numbers by quality control department, usually the quality assurance department. If the systems are poor, there is no the numbering policy. What they will do, the end user can be able to simply xerox and use these papers. That is not acceptable. Then we will come to the iceberg of ignorance. Iceberg of ignorance in this organization, understanding the iceberg of ignorance. So in vast ocean of the business world, an iceberg lies concealed beneath the surface, known as the iceberg of ignorance. This metaphorical iceberg represents the distribution of power and information within the organization, where senior management is often blind to the majority of the issues that affect the company. So here, this iceberg of ignorance. So here see how the senior management were blind and not unaware of issues. So usually, 100% of problems known to frontline staff, because they are the people who is working on the shop floor. They know each and every problem, but this is not escalating. 74% of the immediate managers means supervisors or shift in charges knows the problem, but only 9% is going to the senior managers. That means they are hiding almost all a maximum percentage. So only the 9% of problems were escalating to the senior managers, and only the 4% of problems known by the top executive or the key persons of the organization. This is how the information is hiding. This is the gap in the management in the 96%. Management thought the problems is only 3 to 4%, but 96% of the problems were hiding in the different levels of organization. These frontline employees who are directly engaged in the operational aspects possess a wealth of knowledge regarding the issues and problems. As a result, this type of poor communication, the decisions are made often without a comprehensive understanding of the situation. So the problems are not escalated, so the decisions are now made without properly understanding the problems with the view of the 4% problem, leading to suboptimal outcomes and wasted resources. To bridge this gap, organizations must adopt a culture of transparency and often communicate that encourages free to exchange ideas and feedback. So, how to overcome these DI issues? First is the strong organizational commitment. And a company has to provide an organization, establish a culture of compliance and accountability, and provide top-down leadership support for DI policies. Implement zero tolerance policies. What FDA requires is zero tolerance in FDA data integrity, and company organization is also providing zero tolerance policies for data falsification. If they found any data falsification, actions will be the severe. And management should not encourage the data falsification in order to fulfill their business needs. And second thing is the employee training and awareness. You have to spend time on training and awareness. So the main motive for the DBB consultancy services is that frontline staff members who invest more in their training will encounter less trouble while performing their duties. That is the motive which DBB consultancy has started. Likewise, the employees training is most important, and we have to create a time for this complete training for employees. To repeated training. So one time if you are given training on one particular topic and didn't mean that he will remember it with the lifelong. You have to give the repeated training, repeated on-job training, periodic trainings we have to implement it. And whatever the updations from the FDAs and the regulatories, you have to train the people in timely basis. And you have to encourage the employees to report the data integrity concerns without fear. Promote ethical behavior and transparency in data management. So that's the management role, is to promote ethical behavior to people, to train and tell them you should be the transparent. There is no fear for your job. If you are transparent, whatever may be the issue, you just escalate into the management. We are here to support you. Strengthening the quality systems. You have to implement the robust quality management systems. Regularly audit data integrity compliance. Establish effective CAPA, corrective and preventive action plans. You have to don't only believe on your internal audit. You can hire that external people, regularly audit and data integrity issues, and identify and train the people and implement the effective CAPA. So leveraging technology for use validated softwares. You should not compromise on technologies. Use validated software and secure electronic data management system. Implement access controls and audit trails. Follow the 21 CFR to 11 compliance systems. And maintain the audit trails and give the authority to audit trails only to the admin rights, maybe the software department, IT department, or the head QA department. If someone has deleted something, it should be reported in that audit trail. So you have to give that type of technology available system. We have to use those type of and documentation best practices, handwriting. So ensure that whatever the manual entries, this should be the clear and legible and permanent record. That means you have to use the permanent ink pens, not with the erasable pencils or something, and it will be the fully traceable. Properly document and justify any order. For example, sometimes maybe the data entry may be the wrong data entered. So you have to strike off with a single strike and then return, right, what type of, why this entry error was occurred, and you justify and record it with the cross sign and stamp. So okay, this is the data integrity. What are the key takeaways? So one of the simple key takeaways are harness and record data contemporaneously. Ensure accuracy and adopt digital compliance measures. Conclusion. So data integrity is crucial for compliance, patient safety and business credibility. Ultimately, the goal is for the organization to continue the business. So to maintain this business credibility, the breach of data integrity is not acceptable. Your data should be the integrity. So data integrity is a global issue that requires a proactive and systematic approach. Organizations must prioritize DI through strong leadership. One thing, another thing, robust quality systems and proper employee training and using of the advanced technology, addressing root causes and implementing best practices. Companies can safeguard their credibility, comply with regulations, and ultimately protect ultimate goal, what is the ultimate goal in the regulatory market is public health and safety. Thank you, and don't forget, comment your questions below. I would love to answer them in my future videos. One more thing I want to say is that if your company needs any expert guidance for audits, training, or process improvement, please feel free to reach out. I am here. I can able to train the people in regional languages as well as national languages and global language also. Depends upon the type of operator. The main motive of me is to train the people whoever in the working in the front line. So frontline various of industry, production staff or QA/QC staff or operators, and anyone taking to build a strong foundation in CGMP. We are here to train the people. Thank you. Thanks for your time. So myself here I am given my contact detail. Feel free to contact me. Thank you.